goes all the way through page 10. Then 8 key indicators, we're really looking to move things up by 2.5%. We're gonna remember the percents on, percents on that, percent MD. But those are the key indicators for that, all right? So that's intervention number 1. And again, we need to invite at least our racially isolated district, but we'll really try to invite anybody from the Lake Wobegon Collaborative, okay? For intervention number 2, this one we've had in place for the last 3 years. We really haven't put a lot of money into this one, but we want it there in case we do. So Lake Wobegon Collaborative Music and World Language Exploration Celebration. We need to provide staff, teachers, consultant, performers, provide resources. Again, you can read the narrative that will give you the information on it. And the research. And then on page 12 are the key indicators, which are the same. Intervention number 3 is the Lake Wobegon Collaborative Advanced Theater Camp. Again, it's built to help with math and reading, just like our elementary one. But this one is for grades 8 through 12. And you can read the narrative and then the research. And this one's new. We have not done this one before. So we're excited to give it a try. And again, the research is pretty extensive because they do like to see why we think we can do this. And then we get to page 16, which is our intervention number 4, which is the Lake Wobegon Collaborative Jazz Band Festival. Now this one has really been put in there specifically for goal number 5. It's just to get people together in the jazz piece, and we think it would be a great opportunity for our students and other districts in our collaborative to come play. Each collaborative then would look at and evaluate the other members that come and work together on teamwork and see how our students are collaborating with our students from other districts.
And that's what we're going to be doing, right?
Yep.
Jazz.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a new one. We have not done this one before, but we think it'll be a great opportunity for our students.
That's for grades 6 through 12?
6 through 12, yeah.
Currently, it reads our district will engage 6 through 12 students within our
It'll be grades 6 through 12
Okay.
within the district, yeah. I'll take
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, it'll be, because we've got a 6th grade jazz band or a middle school jazz band now too, so it'll be 6 through 12 in other districts. Okay, and then it goes through the same piece for that, and that kind of puts an end to really what our plan is. We think it's a good plan. We won't be able to fund all of it, so we've got to divide up the money into the areas that the principals think they'll get the best bang for the buck. I've got to take those dollars and put them into a budget. I'll be doing that, hopefully get that done by the end of next week. And then we send the whole plan to ME by the 15th of March. And then we wait for them to tell me what I need to change. I get to send a plan that they didn't tell me I needed to change something. I don't suspect this will be any different. But, who knows? Questions? And again, I know I didn't read everything out, but you can take a look at this plan. It's just an awful lot that really you can read on your own. Yeah.
So when would you expect the state to get back to you? When can it start to be implemented so that we can?
We will, because the plan is for 18-19, or sorry, 17-18,
Okay, so we don't.
we have some time. It's not, our current plan will go into July 1st of, about end of June. So our current plan, we can spend any dollars that we currently have in this year's plan to the end of June. And then, soon as that plan is over, between then and now, this plan will be approved one way or another with the changes that we need to. If there's any significant changes, I'll certainly let the board know of significant changes. My guess is there's a couple things that they may say may not work in one space or the other, so we might have to move things around, but I don't think there'll be significant changes to the plan.
But the timeline is we have to approve it so you can send it in.
You have to approve it, so I can send it in, correct?
I move we approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Cheryl and a second from Rick.
And I do need you to kind of approve it so that, approve it with the understanding that I can make whatever changes ME requires me to make in order to meet their standards.
So amended.
Okay.
Any other further discussions on it?
I just have one more thing.
Sure.
So is every school district in the state sending one of these inbound?
No, the only schools that can even get these dollars are if you're attached to a racially isolated district. We have two in our collaborative. I think Long Prairie Gray Eagle is also racially isolated district, so anybody that connects to their border would be an adjacent district.
And every school that's adjacent sending one of these in?
If they want.
If they want.
We would not have to. We could just say we don't want the dollars and not do anything for us. Although it's not a lot of dollars, it still provides some really nice things for our students to be able to have. So in the end, I might grumble a little bit for all the work that's involved in that. The good thing is that it's a 3-year program, so we won't have to revisit this for 3 years.
Yeah, the only reason I comment that way is when I look at all the work that went into it, and then I look at how they would take the data out of that to make comparisons over years to see if you're accomplishing something. It's not possible here. This is a one-time report of a fixed point in time, and we got the money, but on the long term, I think what we're doing with staff and some of our tracking students better is a really important thing, and it just seems really interesting to me.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree. I think where you're at with this. From my perspective, it's something that the state allows us to do, and the pieces that we're putting together for this plan are really good for our students. There's
And
some,
it's putting ownership back into the district to say.
Yeah,
That's, I think it's probably the only thing that we can actually hang our hat on, is saying that we are doing something. These are the things we're doing for that extra money. Whether we can prove that we can actually see the gap shrink, probably never, because there's so many things that change from year to year.
Right.
Students are the biggest thing, they change from year to year.
Right.
So, but I think the plan is good because we have a plan.
I just know that if we didn't have it, most of these things wouldn't be done.
Yep.
So I think in the opportunities, I would encourage you, like the theater camps or our peer tutoring and stuff, have been great. We had some students move in that are new to country, for instance. And we have a peer tutor that really wants to kind of go into that field and speaks fluent Spanish. It's been great for us to be able to offer those resources to that family. And still stay within our budget and so I just think these are great opportunities for our students and well worth the time and effort to put it together.
So, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Informational reports. We're going to start off with technology. We had a meeting on February 23rd for the technology committee. One of the highlights we had alluded to already about the technology with Colin, one of the teachers here, actually put on a presentation at one of the neighboring community schools and was able to control a robot here. But we don't have too bad we don't have one of those video that they showed us. But he was in another classroom in another city, and he was controlling this robot, or whatever you want to call it, here in Paynesville. So it was quite the thing to see, and a huge accomplishment for the elementary of what this technology is able to do and stuff like that. So
And could be very much the future of workplaces,
yep.
being able to collaborate from long distances.
Yep, it's just the start of many things that come. So then we added we're in the process of looking at adding 33 iPads for the kindergarten and first grade. That money is there is around $12,000, but we're kind of tabling that right now just because with the one-to-one initiative that we're looking at doing, there might be some way that we can take some of the technology that we have already in the system and bring it down to them, and so that we don't have to purchase any more for them, so.
For instance, there's a number of iPads that are older models that aren't being used as much that we might be able to move down. So we want to see what resources we have first.
Yep, so there was an email sent to the staff, because they're getting, right now for the first go-around, they're getting their tablets, and then for some of them that have the iPads and stuff like that, they might not need it for their classroom anymore, so will probably just sit there. So we're hoping that some of them will give it up, and we're only looking for 33 of them, so it should be accomplished, I would think, or if not, pretty darn close.
One way or another, we'll get that iPad.
Yep, so, we talked a little bit about the social media policy, and that is going now to be moved to the policy committee. We had kind of done our first look at it in draft and approved it on the committee side. Now it's going to go to the policy committee itself, and then from there it'll go to the board and do the first and second readings, and then we'll go from there. Okay? The one-on-one initiatives, Chromebooks should be, did they come today?
We're hoping that they're going to be here so that we can get them out by Friday.
Okay.
We know that they're shipped, I hadn't heard, but we're hoping, we're going to try to rush it and get it to our staff on a Friday.
I don't know exactly, how many did we purchase at that time for this first go around?
Be for all the staff, so it'll probably,
60, 70 of them?
yeah, it'd be at least that many.
70, 75 of them, something like that. And then March 3rd is staff development. High school in the morning are going to be going over to BBE to kind of look at their initiatives that they're doing with technology. And then in the afternoon, we'll have some other things that are going on here. And then E-rate, we talked a little bit about that already. And then we talked a little bit about computer apps in classrooms. We had a pretty long discussion regarding the mapping of curriculum and stuff like that. So there's going to be a whole new way of looking at curriculum in the future with all the apps that are going to be available and stuff like that. So more to come with that too. So as we keep on moving towards that.
It gets back to the whole discussion that we've had about the electronic books and all of that, so it'll be a journey on that.
So yeah, it was a good meeting. Our next meeting is going to be in March here. March 9th?
March 9th.
March 9th, I think.
That's,
So we'll have more to come. Our books, our electronics devices will be coming when we first round here, so we will be, Garrett will be setting up meetings with each one of us with a one-to-one to go through that, learning the system, how you can save different things on it, kind of more customize your own tablet, how you want to see it and stuff like that, so, yeah.
That'll be individually with each board member. In the end, these are not the end piece that either the staff or the board will have. They have not come out with a new one that we're looking at for the staff that you can write on the screen and everything else. So we need to wait and see, but it'll be a start for us to get the training done. Most of it will work the same way, so it'll be individually training for the board.
So that was the technology. C report is, Randy's on today.
Yep, he's gone out. I'll kind of fill in on that. I was at the meeting and Randy was at the meeting. They spent some time talking about the overall budget, and they've been waiting for, the legislature's really waiting for what came in today, which is the forecast, which came in higher than they projected. So that's good news for us. Now they need the legislature will have to decide what they want to do with that budget. But we talked about the budget that Dayton had proposed, and he's looking at 2% on the formula for both years, which is great. I'd love to see 3, but if I got 2, I'd still be a happy camper. Some special education cross subsidy reduction. For us, it wouldn't mean a lot of money, but it would still help us if they do that. One of the big things that's coming up is the TRA piece. And, you know, the recommendation is that TRA will go up 2%. And that's going to be partly paid for by the retired people and the district right now is what the recommendation is. at least right now, Dayton's proposal includes some money to pay for that 2%, at least for the 2 years. 2 years won't be enough, because at the end of the 2 years, you still will then lose that 2% and have to put in, but at least it's a start for it, and I think that has to be talked about. Equalization on the taxes for farmland is still out there. They're still having some discussion about that. We don't want that to go through the education bill. We'd rather have that go through the tax bill. If it goes through the education bill, they'll count that against us as an increase, where we want that to go through the tax. So they spent quite a bit of time talking about that. The other big thing that they talked about were recommendations of the Student Discipline Working Group. There's been a group of various people that represent districts and the state and everything on looking at student discipline. It was a Student Discipline Working Group. I don't know if you may have read about it or not, but it's been meeting for quite a while on that. They came up with a number of recommendations, 10 of them. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to go through a couple that I just think were really important. They want to increase funding for clinical school-linked mental health services. I absolutely think that's something that we need to do more, and the state needs to kind of do that. Increase funding for student support services, school counselors, school workers, school psychologists, nurses, those types of pieces. Right now, they have grants out there, but they only last for part of time, and they only usually pay 50%. So if they're going to help us, they really need to pay for the whole amount if we're going to add things. But right now, they only add 50%. A lot of it have dealt with resources, equity coordinators, diversified teachers, those types of things. We don't have the biggest diversity piece, but it's still a big piece in a lot of districts. You know, the Minneapolis's, the St. Clouds, those kind of districts, I can see absolutely where those type of resources would be very important. Clarified due process. Willful is a big thing right now, because in order to expel somebody, for instance, you have to prove that it was willfully done. So they spent a lot of time trying to decide what willful is and whether they should get rid of that in the state laws for that. They talked a lot about zero tolerance policies. I personally don't believe in them. I don't think anything's black and white, and I can't just imagine somebody forgets a knife in their backpack and you expel them.
Did you say they're gonna modify that somewhat?
I think they're kind of against it, but they really didn't come out with a stance against it. I just can't imagine a zero policy for discipline. I can't. Every situation is so different. You want to do things that will help the student and help them learn versus just crushing them into the ground. So I'm just not in favor of them, but there are still districts that have them. Collection of data so they can look at those types of things. And then, of course, 10 I like, increase fiscal support to implement the recommendations. So it was pretty good. It was interesting. Scott Staska, the superintendent at Rocori, was part of this committee. He's told me some interesting stories about it. But C really does a good job, and they're really what they're about is what Brad had said the other day when he was here about equity in education, to try and make sure that all of our students get the same no matter where they're at. So that was kind of what that meeting was about.
Can I just add one more thing? As a legislative liaison, I'll be going down Tuesday to the C Day at the Capitol. And so if anyone's interested, let me know. I've got one parent who's indicated interest, I'll follow up on that, but if we get 2 or 3 more people.
Yep, and all they would have to do is give Rick a call, send him an email. You can find that email address right on our website, so.
Or if you know someone who you think would be good to go down.
Thanks. Okay, number 3, World's Best Workforce Report.
Well, a little bit duplicate for the conclusion. I happen to think our meeting is a little more interesting because we get to look at the data that they use to derive this report thing.
Okay.
And I just thought it was very fascinating. It always is. Every time we turn around, they're starting to collect more data on advancement of children or advancement of students and knowing of some of the gaps we're talking about. It is very, very fascinating. It also shows us where we may be falling off the edge a little bit and areas that we're doing really well. So, again, without getting in specifics, because I don't have all of the charts, but usually it's very, very fascinating. Personally, it's one of my favorite
Is it?
areas because it's statistical analysis of advancement of kids through their life as a student. And I just think it's fascinating. And waiting right now there's one that Don has talked about where we're gonna start following kids through their years through school after us,
SLED.
secondary systems, and to see exactly what we're doing to complement where students are going and as their future goes. So that's very fascinating too. We just haven't gotten into that yet, and they're still collecting data.
Cool. Meet and confer. We met and conferred then. How much do we?
Now, there was a lot of discussion
Yeah, well,
here.
yeah, well,
Yeah, they dealt with their
not more
school
than we can
calendar.
ask about or talk about because it was the calendar, so, all right. Administrator report.
Okay, just a couple things. One, I want to fill the board in. We had a retirement of food service person a long time ago. Penny and I are looking at reorganizing our food, so what we've been doing, and I haven't brought this to the board, but I want to make you aware of it. Rather than hiring a person to fill for that position, until we reorganize, and we're looking at job descriptions and stuff, and we had hoped we'd get it done sooner, but we seem to just keep kicking the can because of other things that we have to get done. But we did add some time, about 4 hours, to the people in the secondary building, because that's where the person left. And we've also added about 3 hours a day for sub time. And we're gonna continue that, and I'll probably come back to the board at the next board meeting and make a final temporary hours for the rest of this year. At the start of next year, we have to have the reorganization done. It's a negotiable year for that, so it all kind of works into the contract also. So we really need to do it all at the same time. But we're gonna continue the current hours that we have added in the sub, at least at this time, until we get reorganized. So it's just kind of filling the board in on with that. I hope to get further down the road, but we haven't. But truly, it's part of the contractual type of thing as we reorganize and relook at the job descriptions.
So what is your intent for that?
My intent for that is really to look at the positions themselves and change it. Right now, both Penny and I believe we have too many positions. We want to have less positions so that people do more of everything for that. Right now, it's kind of with the job descriptions, it's broken into helpers and cooks and other things. We want to simplify it to some degree. So we'll come back to the board with our recommendation on that.
So you're not looking at a supervisor position or?
We're looking at having one of our head cooks
Be a lead or something?
we're not sure how we're gonna break that in on whether we make it into one job description, or whether we have a job description and add another small stipend type of thing on top of that job description for taking more ownership or more leadership in the complete district. So we still have to shape that out.
Now, your head cook or your supervisor, we'll put it that way.
Yep.
Can they be in the union?
Yeah, I think, I
You
don't
gotta be
think,
very careful of that.
yeah, I think however we do it, it won't have an issue with that type of thing. We're still looking at all that, Lou, so all I know is that because there's also contractual things there that we have to look at, it's all tied in together, so we're just starting to look at negotiating plus putting all these pieces together. All I can say is that for sure by the start of next year, we'll have all that. Our intent is to have it all set up. Okay, any other questions on that piece? Just a reminder, we had our last facilities meeting on February 15th where we discussed the Community Ed Day on March 21st, at 6 o'clock. I'm writing an article for the paper that will go in next paper. Need to get that done by Thursday, I think. So
That's the one that's going on the front page, isn't it?
well, they tend to put my stuff on the front page, so.
That's
So
that
we're right.
21st day that's real important.
But it's really about that community meeting where we're going to gather information. And the information that we want to gather from our community is really what would people like to see be added to the community as far as our facilities. And some people may say nothing, that we're just fine. or what could be remodeled. For instance, Lou even brought up to me, our elementary kitchens are probably just too small, that they should be remodeled. So that might be something that comes up as a possibility, for instance. But those are really the two questions. What should we add, if we should add anything? And if we needed to remodel or change things, what would we remodel or change? So we're gonna put our community members at different tables. Each table is gonna come up with 6 items that they think should be done. We're gonna take those 6 items, we're gonna correlate them, put them up on poster boards on the wall, so that we don't have duplicates. You know, if everybody says we should have, remodel the elementary kitchen, we don't want that on 6 sheets, we want it on 1 sheet that says remodel the elementary kitchen if it comes up. Then we're gonna give the dots to our people who come in, and each person will have 6 dots to put on these various suggestions. That'll give the board an idea about what that community group thinks are the most important things on what we should do. So again, that's on March 21st. It'll be at 6 o'clock. It'll run from 6 to 7:15 sharp. We'll provide free childcare during that meeting time. And we would certainly really like to have a lot of community members come in and provide us with their thoughts on that. We're also continuing to work on our budget, wellness policy update, and the world's best workforce plan. We've got negotiations starting with all of our groups at this point. We're pretty stable with our enrollment right now. We're up about 3.5 from September. October's never a good time to take the attendance, so I don't look at that when I look at the one in September. And we're up a little bit on that. Not a lot of students, but we're staying stable. We haven't lost any. And one year we lost, excuse me, about 30 students during the course of the year. So I'm glad we're up a little bit from what we started on the school year. Integration I've already talked about. March 3rd, no school. Staff Development Day. I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Any other board sharing information?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Lou and a second from Rick. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.